So this month, as part of Waterman Wellbeing, our focus is on the topic of posture. So we're going to run a few challenges. We're going to have a few experts come and speak to the topic. And see, like how you're sitting now, that reminds me of school photos. Your legs are together, your hands. That was the only time that exactly that. That was the only time where I felt like I actually maintained like my ideal of this is what perfect posture kind of looks like. Where it was sustainable for about 20 seconds a year. So I guess I want to find out how to do that properly. We're going to kick that off by the guys from Back in Motion actually giving us some proper advice that we can follow on this topic, so we'll throw them.
Hi, my name is Majd and I'm a physiotherapist at Back in Motion in Rowville. And I'm just going to talk to you today a little bit about posture and desk ergonomics so that you can maintain your back in good health. First and foremost, I've got my emaciated friend here, and he's just going to help me to demonstrate that we've got naturally three major curves in our spine. So our spine's not meant to be straight. We do have an inward curve here called the cervical lordosis. Then we've got the thoracic kyphosis and the lumbar lordosis down the bottom here, and all sitting on the base of our spine, which is our pelvis. And the reason I'm telling you about this is because these curves are curves that we actually want and we want to maintain when we're trying to have good posture when sitting. So I'm here with my colleague Megan, and I'm just going to use her to demonstrate how to find that perfect sitting posture so that we maintain those three curves that we talked about just before. So the first thing that we can do to have a little handy shortcut to find this posture is you pop your hands on your pelvis, on your hips, and you kind of want to feel the knobbly bits of bone at the front, knobbly bits of bone at the back. And the first thing we do then is I'm going to ask Megs to slide into like a C position so that you're really hollowing out that tummy through there. You go as far as you can into that range. Then we're going to go the exact opposite. So we're going to stick our tailbone right out. So she's going to come all the way forward. Then we're going to fall back to halfway between those 2 points. Good. Rest your hands on your lap. So in this position here, this is a really great way to just reset the spine, and so that you maintain that lumbar lordosis, thoracic kyphosis, and cervical lordosis that we explained previously. Now this is really good, perfect position, but you're probably thinking to yourself, that's all good and well, I can find that position, but I probably don't know how long I can hold it for. And that's a really, really good point, and that's why there are a few tips and tricks that we'll go through to show you how to be able to maintain this position for 20, 30, 40 minutes and keep on with the rest of your workday. So looking at the desk setup here, I've got Megan sitting down on a chair in a not so great position, and we'll talk about why that is, and we'll work from the feet up. So first things first, one of the things that's really useful, particularly if you're not particularly tall, is to have a little footrest, and we've got that in under here, but that can make sure that your feet are off the ground and the tension is taken off of the lower back. Now, as Megs is sitting here in this position, what we want to notice is this angle here is at about a 90-degree angle. We actually want that at an open angle, so a bit more of an obtuse angle. So what I'm going to ask Megs is to lift her chair up just a little bit so that her hips are sitting higher than her knees. And this is where the footrest really comes into its own, because if the hips are sitting higher than the knees and the legs aren't that tall, you're going to find that the feet are off the ground, and that's quite bad for the back. The other thing that we'll notice here is that in this position, when Megs puts her hand on the keyboard, we've got a nice open angle here, and the wrist angle is up. So the last thing we want is for Megs to be typing with her wrist in these positions like this, because that's going to lead to repetitive strain injuries through the forearm and through the wrist. But with this sort of an angle, she's going to be in an ideal position to keep on typing. With regards to the monitor, you want the monitor at about eye level. That's going to help to maintain Megan's cervical lordosis that we were talking about just earlier. So if it was too low, we're going to lead to some neck strain that can lead to some headaches or some eye problems and a few other undesirable things. So if we have this correct setup where we've got a footrest, where we've got an open angle here at the hips, nice angles here at the wrist and forearms, nice angle at the neck, we should be able to maintain this posture for quite some time without any risk of injury. Just like with any muscle in the body, they often take time to train up. So until the muscles get used to being in a good postural position, particularly if you're going from a not so great position, we can use certain aids to help us to hold those positions for longer. The first that I'm going to talk to you about is what's called the lumbar roll. So the lumbar roll is this piece of material here, normally used for a memory foam or a high polymer latex, and what it's going to do is it's going to help to keep that lumbar lordosis, that curve we talked about, in the lower back. What you want to do is you want to have it set up around that lower back curve. And what I'm going to ask Megs to do is to lean forward for me and then push your hips as far back into the chair as possible and then sit on back nice and normally. And as you can see, what we've got going on here is that the curve is maintained and supported by that lumbar roll. So it should be relatively passive. Meg shouldn't be holding it there, and it can help to keep her there for a lot longer until her muscles get used to those positions. Another tool we can use is what's called a wedge cushion. And wedge cushions can also be made from memory foam or high density latex. And what they do is that they change the angle at that pelvis, which then, being the foundation of the spine, alters the angle happening at the lower back. So as you can see, a wedge cushion here is larger at the back and thinner at the front, acting as a wedge, maintaining that angle that we talked about before, that open angle here at the hips, and helping to have Meg sit there longer in a more comfortable position. So following all these rules and these tips and tricks, you're likely to get the best out of your back and help you sit in that position for a lot longer, minimizing the risk of any kind of injury. However, as we say in physiotherapy, that movement is medicine, and the best posture is your next posture. So I would encourage you to set a little alarm, either on your phone or just something that pops up on your monitor, to remind you every half an hour, if you haven't, to just get up, have a little stretch, maybe go grab yourself a glass of water. Doesn't have to be anything extreme, but just that little act actually helps to take a lot of pressure off the discs in the lower back and can help to maintain things and keep you going for even longer. I hope you've learned something, guys. Thank you so much for indulging us and listening. And should you need anything, feel free to look us up in Back in Motion Rowville. Thank you so much.